Hello and welcome to the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports, and I'm going to give you 5 of my fantasy takeaways from week 3 of the fantasy football season. It was a crazy week of games. We had some unbelievable finishes to the early games on Sunday. Hopefully your finishes were on the positive side of things for all your fantasy teams. You won a lot of games, but I'm going to give you some takeaways that I have for this week. And my first one is I get a lot of fantasy questions, and I always try to give an honest answer and give you as much insight as I can into certain situations. And quite frankly, this one that I get right now, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I have no idea what the Commanders are doing in the backfield right now. You hear all the Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt hype. Who was the first back to take the field in this week's game? Chris Rodriguez, guy who's been inactive to start the year. He was the first back that got carries. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt actually did lead the backfield snaps, playing 40% of the time, but he got most of his time late in the game when the Commanders were up really big. Chris Rodriguez got to work early. He actually led the team in carries. Jeremy McNichols, he was in the mix too. He had 26% of the snaps and actually led the team in rushing yards. He had a huge rush for a huge gain, ended up with 76 rushing yards, I believe. All 3 backs found the end zone, but quite frankly, I don't trust any of them in my fantasy lineup right now. Maybe Chris Rodriguez, I lean his way since he was the first back that got carries this past week, but this is just a mess for fantasy owners, and I'm sorry you have to deal with it. I feel like the Commanders are kind of trolling us with the Krosky Merritt stuff. They keep talking him up, and then he just doesn't get a huge workload. So I don't know what's happening there. It's a tough situation. Hopefully it becomes a little clearer in the coming weeks, but I'm not sure it's going to. My second fantasy takeaway for this week is fantasy defenses can matter. The Vikings, Panthers, Seahawks, Steelers, Colts, they had huge games for fantasy teams. They all scored in double digits. A lot of them could have carried you to fantasy victories this week. It's just great to see that fantasy defenses can actually do something in the game. The Vikings had 2 defensive touchdowns, just huge when something like that happens to you. So it's not a throwaway position. If you can find the right matchups, you can really take advantage of that. And it's just something to keep in mind going forward. My next takeaway for week 3 is the Eagles need to continue to play with urgency offensively. They got down big in that game this past week against the Rams. They let Jalen Hurts really just be an elite player like he is, make things happen in the passing game, push the ball down the field. It just looked like a completely different offense the second half. I hope that's the case going forward. Those first 2 weeks were absolutely brutal. Just a lot of kid glove type stuff with Jalen Hurts, not letting them do a lot, not letting them take a lot of chances down the field. He improvised in this game. He made plays. He did stuff as a runner. I think this game could really end up being a big factor for all the fantasy players in this offense. Hopefully Saquon Barkley can get going as well. We know the pieces are there for that to happen in Philadelphia, and I hope this game just really catapults this entire offense for the rest of the year. I think it can happen. Hurts looked absolutely amazing, 4 touchdowns. A.J. Brown hit the 100-yard mark. Devontae Smith made some big catches. Dallas Goedert found the end zone. So it was just a great day offensively for the Eagles, and hopefully this is just the start of something great for that very good, high-powered Eagles offense. My next takeaway is, last week I said in a couple various settings that I wasn't crazy worried about the Bengals offense with Jake Browning taking over, but I'm worried now. That was a horrific showing. I know the Vikings have a great defense, but Jake Browning just looked overwhelmed. Offensive line is still terrible, and they can't run the ball at all. Chase Brown's been a huge bust. He gets tons of work. He can't find any room to run, though. He's been just a terrible fantasy player to start the year, and that offensive line just isn't very good. I think they need to make some sort of change at QB as well. Maybe they can trade for Jameis Winston. That'd be huge, but if something doesn't change there, I know, again, the Vikings defense is really good, but I'm worried about this unit. If I'm a Jamar Chase owner, T. Higgins owner, Chase Brown owner, I'm a little bit concerned going forward. Maybe they can make a change at QB, get things jump-started, but right now, I think you have some cause for concern if you have any Cincinnati Bengals on your fantasy teams. All right, my last takeaway for this week is I think Quinshon Judkins is going to end up being the top rookie fantasy back this year. And he didn't even play the first game, but he looked tremendous this past week. 18 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown against a really good Packers defense. He was a focal point of that offense. He laid out Packers defensive end Micah Parsons on a block, just really impressive. The guy does it all. Ashton Genty's not been great. Amarian Hampton's looking better going forward. Travion Henderson, though, he's been a bust to start the year. I think Judkins is going to end up leading all rookie backs in scoring this year, and he's going to get a ton of work in this offense. He looks absolutely tremendous. Hopefully he doesn't get suspended. That could happen. If that happens, that could cloud things a little bit, but if he can play the rest of the year, I think he's going to post big numbers in this offense. All right, those are 5 of my fantasy takeaways for week 3 of the fantasy football season. Hopefully you had a lot of success this week, won your games, and good luck going forward. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports.